In this video, I'll demonstrate the use of data validation. Very often you're going to find you're creating Excel spreadsheets that are going to be used by other people, and you want to ensure that the data they're typing into your spreadsheet meets some certain rules. You don't want the user to be able to free-form type things, especially if you're expecting a certain range of values in a particular cell. So in this example, let's say we're registering people for a youth soccer league. And on the registration date, I want the date to be in a certain range. So under data, we have data validation here under the data tools group. You click on this, data validation, and every cell in Excel is by default set up to allow any value. Well, in this case, for the registration date, I may say I only want a date. It has to be a date. It can't be a whole number or anything else. And then I can choose that that date must be between, less than, greater than, or whatever. You have your choices here. So in this case, let's say we are going to say it must be less than or equal to, and I want it to be today's date. You can put in today's date or anything before that, but nothing in the future. So I will type equal, and I can actually use the today function in my end date. So now whatever they type in here has to be less than or equal to today's date. There's 3 tabs when you do data validation. So we just did the settings tab. There's the input message. What this does is when a user selects on a cell, it brings up a little pop-up box. And in that box I can put a title, and then I can actually put a little message. So I may put here the date must be today or earlier. And now I'll hit OK on that. So every time a user selects on that cell, there's my title and there's the message. I tend not to like the input messages because it's very annoying if you're filling this out all the time and to have that pop up. Especially if you do it on every cell that you have data validation, you have this input message pop up. But that's your choice. The third, let me go back in, the third box, or tab I should say, is the error alert. When a user types something wrong, what do you want to have happen? So very often it's stop, don't allow it. So for the title, in this case, I could put bad date, and then error message may be the same thing again. So now every time they put in a bad date, they're going to get this message. So let me hit OK. I will put in a date that is way in the future. And now I get the error message. Day must be today or earlier. If they hit retry, it puts me right back in where I can start typing again. And so I can put in a date that's earlier than today. Hit enter, and now it accepts it. On that error alert box, we just messed with the stop style. Basically, it keeps us from entering data that doesn't meet our criteria. You do have a couple other choices. One is warning and one is information. So if you make this a warning instead, you'll, rather than get the red X, you're going to get the yellow diamond. So when I hit OK, and now when I type in a date that doesn't meet our criteria, the message is, all right, it's supposed to be earlier today. Do you want to continue with that? No, cancel or help. So if you say yes, it will still allow that date. The other choice under that would be a information that you're preferring that you have the date today or earlier, but. So again, let me type the 12. I just have to re-enter the data. And then all you get is the OK, cancel or help, and it's just an information rather than the yellow triangle. Now, to demonstrate some of the other data validation choices, obviously player name, you're not going to put data validation because it could be anything. But under age group, I only want users to be able to put values that come from this list. So again, I'll choose data validation. I'm going to run to settings, and over here, instead of any value, let's take a look at what else we have here. You have whole number. Don't allow decimal values. Maybe it has to be a decimal. This one I use a lot, which is to allow values that come from a list. Now, when you click on list, it's asking what is the source. You can actually put in your own list without selecting off of the spreadsheet. It's just a comma delimited yes, list. So I can type my own list in this case. I'll hit OK. And so there's my list. Yes, no, maybe. Obviously for age group that doesn't make sense. Let's go back in, and the list in our case is going to be an actual source. So I'll select the one I typed and just select through U4 through U10. It says equal, and it lists that range right there. So now when I hit OK, there comes the list. I can choose U6, choose U8. And again, you have your choices of, do you want an input message and do you want an error alert? By default, it gives you an X that's going to stop you if you were trying to type something different. So if I run in here and try to go U20, it's going to say, nope, that doesn't work. And that's the default setting. Now for shirt size, I only want them to choose off this list. Let's talk about named ranges. I can name this range. I will do it from selection. So I'll select all of these cells. And then right up here under formulas, create from selection. This time the name is going to be the top row. So I'll hit OK. And now when I grab that range, it says shirt size. So under my data validation, when I go to the data ribbon, data validation, I'm again going to choose from list. Rather than selecting through there, I can actually type equal, and I can use the name of my range. So I'll hit OK. So now I only have the choices that are available in that particular list. Overall, data validation is easy to use, and it's a great way to kind of put some data controls on what users can enter into your spreadsheet. In the next video, I'll talk about how we can protect the spreadsheet so that users can't delete information from or delete formulas from our spreadsheets. They can only type in the cells that I want them to type in.